True stories revealed. Uncovering fascinating true stories from around the world, one tale at a time. Today, we're taking you on a journey to France, the heart of romance and culture, to uncover the story behind one of the world's most iconic landmarks. Get ready to explore the Eiffel Tower, a stunning iron masterpiece standing tall in the City of Love. The Eiffel Tower, a towering colossus of shimmering iron against the ever-changing canvas of the Parisian sky. It is a symbol of architectural marvel manifesting from the boundless human imagination. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower actually grows in height during the summer? Due to the iron used in its construction, the Eiffel Tower expands and contracts based on temperature changes. In hot summer weather, the iron expands, causing the tower to grow by up to 15 centimeters (6 inches). In cold weather, it shrinks back to its original height. This subtle shift adds an extra layer of dynamism to the iconic structure, making it a living, breathing monument that changes with the seasons. How it all began. 1884. An idea in the air. Beneath the blood-red Parisian sky of 1884, a restless energy crackled through the city's streets, filling the air with whispers and unsettled glances. In the shadowed offices of Gustave Eiffel, two of his engineers, Maurice Koechlin and Émile Nouguier, hunched over a dimly lit table, wrestling with a concept as audacious as it was precarious. Their pens moved cautiously at first, tracing thin, wavering lines that outlined something neither stone nor wood, a skeleton of iron reaching defiantly into the clouds. What they had sketched was stark and unfamiliar, an iron giant looming over Paris in skeletal simplicity, each line more a taunt than a blueprint. The frame they envisioned was a latticework exposed to the world, stripped of the adornments expected of Parisian grandeur, raw in its industrial birth. For Mr. Gustave Eiffel, this creation teetered on the edge of triumph and catastrophe. As they refined the structure, it became clear that this wasn't just a monument for Paris, it was a bold statement for the entire world. Built as the centerpiece of the 1889 Exposition Universelle, World's Fair, this towering figure was intended to commemorate the centennial of the French Revolution and demonstrate France's standing as a nation at the forefront of progress, freedom, and creativity. Positioned at the entrance of the fairgrounds, the Eiffel Tower would stand as France's defiant, almost reckless statement to the world, a brazen display of technological prowess that would dare others to match it. Yet, beneath this grand vision lay a quiet unrest. Could iron bear the weight of a nation's pride, or will it strip off the familiar warmth and permanence of a structure built with stone? This new material was light, pliant, designed to sway and bend with the wind, a strange contrast to the rigid structures that defined Paris. To the public, this lattice of iron seemed too raw, too exposed, like bones laid bare. Even among his team, there were whispers of doubt. Was this really an elegant feat of strength, or an audacious gamble that could crumble under its own ambition? If successful, this iron monster would carve out its place in the city, perhaps even in history. And if not, it would serve as a quiet reminder that ambition is often as fragile as the structures that bear it. 1887, breaking ground. On January 28, 1887, that vision began to take shape. The space was noisy and chaotic. Carts of steel clanged together, hammers rang out, and conversations crackled through the air. Construction began amidst a flurry of debate and skepticism. Critics dubbed it a monstrous skeleton, an eyesore that would ruin the classic beauty of Paris. The foundation was key, for it would bear the weight of nearly 10,000 tons of iron. On the muddy grounds of Champ de Mars, just off the Seine River, men in work coats and boots dug trenches, preparing the ground for the colossus that would soon rise. The groundworks alone, with their massive blocks of masonry, took months to complete. Gustave Eiffel's team, a mix of architects, engineers, and laborers, meticulously laid out each footing, ensuring the base would be strong enough to support the lattice beast that was to come. Workers, suspended high above the ground, began to build this structure with precision, fitting over 18,000 individual iron parts together like a giant puzzle. The tower rose faster than anticipated, reaching into the sky with an audaciousness never before seen. Several stories of personal risk emerged as high above the city streets, Iron workers clung to the narrow beams with no safety harnesses, their bodies exposed to the biting winds. Yet motivated by a shared belief in the monument's purpose, they pressed on, along with the Mr. Eiffel himself, who frequently climbed the tower to inspect the progress, scaling its skeletal framework with the ease of a man confident in his creation. 1888 to 1889, the tower's grand debut. The months rolled into early 1888. Prefabricated parts were transported to the site from the Eiffel's factory on the outskirts of Paris. Over 300 workers moved with precision to lift and rivet the iron beams together by hand. One by one, these men scaled hundreds of feet above the ground, each day to build the ever-growing iron skeleton without any modern cranes to assist them. All they relied were their skills and strength. As the tower climbed higher, its progress was impossible to ignore. Parisians stopped and stared at the strange metal shape that began to cut through their familiar skyline. Some were filled with awe, while others shook their heads in disbelief. Protesters, including many prominent artists, declared it an eyesore and launched campaigns to have it stopped. Useless and monstrous, they shouted. But there was no stopping. By mid-1888, the structure had surpassed the height of Cathédrale Notre-Dame de Paris. Gustave Eiffel, the man behind the tower, designed a small private apartment for himself on the third level. The space, which is still intact today, was used by Eiffel to conduct experiments and entertain important guests like Thomas Edison. Through the autumn of 1888 and into 1889, the tower took on its final form. March 31, 1889, dawned with the tower standing at its full height of 300 meters, 984 feet, the tallest man-made structure in the world at the time that dwarfed everything around it. March turned into April, and the final pieces of the structure came together. In the final days of construction, Gustave Eiffel himself ascended the tower to oversee the completion of its summit. At over 1,000 feet above the ground, the winds were strong, and the entire structure felt like it was alive, moving subtly with the atmosphere around it. Onlookers gathered below, staring up at this futuristic marvel. Mr. Eiffel, in a symbolic moment of triumph, ascended all 1,710 steps to plant the French flag at the top. With the tower completed just in time for the 1889 Exposition Universelle, the World's Fair, it was meant to showcase France's industrial prowess. Yet, in its earliest days, it did something else. It divided the city. While the Eiffel Tower stood tall, it had yet to win over its harshest critics. Parisian elites railed against the tower. Guy de Maupassant, the famed writer, was said to have dined frequently at the tower's restaurant, not for its culinary delights, but because it was the only place in Paris where he could avoid seeing the tower's silhouette. Yet over time, the critics' words faded, while the tower's impact on the city and the world grew. But despite the criticism, something shifted as the years passed. People from around the world came to gaze at this structure, which, despite being made of iron, had an undeniable grace. Visitors climbed its steps, feeling the thrill of standing above the city, and as they climbed, they became a part of its story, adding to the legacy of this strange, once reviled monument. The acceptance. The Eiffel Tower was supposed to be temporary, a structure to stand only for the fair, then be dismantled. Yet, as the seasons came and went, as Paris changed, the tower remained. It began to symbolize not just the technological achievements of a nation, but something greater: endurance, transformation, and the unpredictable course of time itself. Today, if one were to stand on the Champ de Mars and look up at the Eiffel Tower, it would be hard to imagine the doubts and fears that once surrounded its construction. The latticework that had once seemed like a cage now seems almost delicate, an elegant web of iron. But beneath its beauty lies a story of ambition, struggle, and the many hands that brought it to life. And as the light fades and the tower begins to glow against the night sky, it's not just a monument you see, but a memory of how it came to be, piece by piece, against all odds. Unveiling the secrets, unique stories of the Eiffel Tower. 1914, a guardian of Paris. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower was originally constructed as a temporary exhibit for the 1889 World's Fair, held to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution? In the early 1900s, when the tower's initial 20-year lease expired, plans were discussed to tear down the structure. There was even a proposal to dismantle the tower and move it to Montreal, Canada, but these plans never materialized, and the tower stayed in Paris. As the First World War loomed, the Eiffel Tower transformed from a mere monument to a tool of defense. Eiffel Tower became a vital asset for military communications. Its height allowed for powerful radio transmissions, enabling the French military to intercept enemy messages and coordinate troop movements, particularly during the Battle of the Marne in 1914. The Eiffel Tower, once ridiculed for its design, had become a protector of the city it was said to tarnish. "1925. A twinkle in the night." Largest advertising space in the world at that time. The 1920s saw Paris blossom into the city of lights, and the Eiffel Tower began to play its part in illuminating the skyline. From 1925 to 1934, the Eiffel Tower was used as a gigantic illuminated advertisement for Citroën, a French automobile manufacturer. The company's name was emblazoned across the tower in 250,000 light bulbs for 9 years, making it the largest advertising space in the world at that time. The tower's association with light and celebration began to take shape, a theme that continues into the present day. 1940 to 1944, standing tall in war. As Nazi forces occupied Paris during World War II, the Eiffel Tower stood as a silent witness to the city's suffering. When Hitler visited Paris in 1940, after the Nazi occupation of France, the Eiffel Tower's elevator cables had been cut by the French resistance, making it impossible for Hitler to ascend to the top. Symbolically, this act ensured that the Nazi leader never conquered the tower. For years, the tower remained dark, its lights extinguished to avoid attracting enemy bombers. But its spirit endured, a symbol of resistance in a city under siege. Hidden beneath the south pillar of the Eiffel Tower is a secret military bunker that extends into the Champ de Mars Park. The bunker is said to be connected to military communications networks, although much of its specific purpose remains undisclosed to the public. 1950s, 1960s, global recognition. By the mid-20th century, the Eiffel Tower's place in the world had shifted. Once a source of ridicule, it became a beloved symbol of Paris, featured in countless films, books, and postcards. Tourists from around the globe flocked to it, eager to ascend its platforms and take in the views of the Seine River, the Louvre, and the sprawling city beneath. 1985. 1,000 lights. On December 31, 1985, the Eiffel Tower once again transformed the Parisian skyline, this time with 20,000 flashing lights that twinkled every night, marking the new year. These lights, initially installed for a temporary celebration, became a permanent feature, enchanting both Parisians and visitors. This glowing tower stood as a reminder that beauty can be found in even the most utilitarian of structures, and that the future would always have room for innovation. The 21st century, year 2000, the Millennium Celebrations. As the world ushered in the new millennium, Paris prepared to celebrate with the Eiffel Tower at the center of the spectacle. At midnight on January 1, 2000, a stunning fireworks display lit up the tower, and for 10 minutes, it appeared to dance with color and light, as the world watched in awe. The event cemented the Eiffel Tower's status as more than just a piece of architecture. It had become a global icon. An iconic tower for sure, so much so, that in 2007, a woman named Erika Latour Eiffel, an American competitive archer, famously married the Eiffel Tower in a commitment ceremony. This unusual event brought attention to objectophilia, a condition where people develop strong emotional and romantic feelings for inanimate objects. "2015, darkened in mourning." In November 2015, following the terrorist attacks that shook Paris, the Eiffel Tower was darkened as a mark of respect for the victims. For a city that had long viewed the tower as a beacon of joy and celebration, this act symbolized a collective mourning. Yet, even in darkness, the tower stood resolute, a sign of Paris's unyielding strength and resilience. 2024, a beacon of innovation. As the Eiffel Tower approaches its 135th anniversary in 2024, it remains one of the most visited monuments in the world. It welcomes more than 7 million visitors annually, with approximately 75% of these visitors coming from outside France. Its global popularity has made it a cornerstone of Parisian tourism. Though today the Eiffel Tower is known for its iconic bronze color, officially called Eiffel Tower brown, it was originally painted a reddish-brown color to protect the iron. Over the years, it has been repainted in shades of yellow and chestnut before settling on its current color. The Eiffel Tower requires a fresh coat of paint every 7 years, that takes around 60 tons of paint to cover its surface, ensuring that the tower maintains its gleaming appearance. 2024 Summer Olympics. In preparation for the 2024 Summer Olympics, the city of Paris transformed its most iconic landmark, the Eiffel Tower, adorning it with a massive set of Olympic rings mounted on its wrought iron lattice. Displayed proudly on the south side, the rings, each a striking 9 meters, 30 feet, in diameter, were crafted from recycled French steel, symbolizing both tradition and sustainability, as they overlooked the Seine River. This year's Olympics introduced groundbreaking initiatives, such as a commitment to be the first carbon-neutral games, with the majority of events hosted at existing or temporary sites to minimize environmental impact. Additionally, for the first time in Olympic history, the opening ceremony would unfold along the Seine, with athletes floating down the river on decorated boats while thousands watched from the riverbanks. Paris 2024 also marked the debut of breakdancing as an Olympic sport, promising to bring a vibrant, modern energy to the long-standing traditions of the Games. The Eiffel Tower, where timeless stories continue to unfold. The Eiffel Tower's story is not just one of iron and engineering. It's a narrative that spans centuries, touching upon the ambitions and dreams of countless individuals, from its inception by Gustave Eiffel and his team to its role in world wars, its transformation into a cultural symbol, and its ongoing legacy in 2024. The tower represents the human spirit's ability to dream, defy, and rise, like the iron beams that stretch into the Parisian sky. As time passes, the Eiffel Tower continues to inspire and evolve, standing as a beacon of creativity and resilience. It reminds us that even the most controversial beginnings can give rise to timeless greatness. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we can't wait to see you again in the next one. If you found this content inspiring, please like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest releases. Your support means the world to us. See you soon!